Hey everyone, welcome to this quick patch from scratch tutorial. I just wanted to showcase how you can make the Loquelic sound like a nice atonal techno voice. And it will sound something like this. So the main idea here will be that we'll use two different pitch sequences for A and B inputs, and this will make for some atonal stuff. So let's wire up the drums quickly. I have set up the FH2 to get some triggers from the Arturia. So for instance, if I press here, I get the triggers from the various drum sources here. So the kick is on the first one. All right. The second trigger is for the hats. I also like to use an accent. Alright, so that's kind of gonna be enough drums for this patch. Obviously you would want some more drums. So let's set up the Loquelic. And here what we will do is we'll have the top pitch be controlled by the Turing Machine and the bottom pitch controlled by the Arturia. We will put it into a filter and we will add an envelope to the filter where we open this built-in VCA of the mum as well as the cutoff. Let's first connect the output of the filter into the mixer. Let's connect the output of the Loquelic into the VCA input. So now we can add an envelope. For this I will use the ornamented crime. And we will trigger the envelope with track 4 here. So track 4 is wired to the 2 here. So you can see whenever we press now any key, we'll get an envelope. And we will put that envelope first just in the VCA and hear how that sounds. Now one thing that is always cool is to also put the envelope onto the filter cutoff. So we'll do that with this stack cable. And now whenever, like the envelope will both open the VCA but also open the filter according to what we have here. And we could even add some resonance. Make it even more plucky. This is always the same note. Let's use the Turing Machine to make some melodies. Turing Machine is a way to get random patterns that can repeat. And the key thing here is the clock input. So the clock input tells the module, hey, I want a new pitch. So let's hear how that sounds. I have a dedicated channel on the Arturia that will move the Turing Machine. So it's the 7 here. Let's plug the 7 into the clock. And we will see whenever I press here, this sequence of notes moves to the left. So let's hear how the notes sound by taking the output into the A. And for the moment, let's just disable the envelope so that we always hear it drone. And so now whenever I press here, I will get a new note. Right, so whenever I set a trigger, we move the sequence 1 to the left. Now you might notice that it repeats every 4 triggers. But we can now add some randomness. If we put this to the top, it's full random. So you can see there's no more pattern. But now as soon as we put it back down, it will repeat the last 4. Alright, so let's put the envelope back in. One thing that is cool to play with is how many triggers do you feed per bar. And this will define how often the melody repeats. Now we have 4 triggers here at the beginning. And let's make a sequence of notes, just a boring sequence here. Let's press play. So note now that the notes only change in the beginning of the bar and then they are constant. It's because we just moved the Turing Machine here in the beginning. And I think that's one really powerful tool. A lot of people just clock this with just a normal, with the sequencer clock, but I find it much more interesting to do this. And so you can also make, let's say, longer patterns. And let's put a few more triggers here. So now we have 8 triggers, pattern length 8. And when we get tired of the sequence, we can just add a bit more randomness. one part of the Turing machine. Now, one thing that you would notice if the envelope was longer is that we might get note changes when we trigger a Turing machine that do not align with the triggers of the melody. So let me show this. Let's have only one trigger, but a really long envelope. And now what you will hear is that the notes change. So we trigger it once, but the notes keep changing. And this can be a really nice effect, but I think it can get also a bit annoying. And so what I really like to use is the sample and hold. So what this will do is it will have a trigger and it will be like, hey, I only want a new note now. And so the Turing machine might change a lot, but we only sample it whenever we trigger the melody. So the way this sounds is, let's put it into the sample in and let's take the output here. Let's use another stack cable to fork the trigger. And now we will only hear one note. And another interesting thing to try here is again play with the number of triggers. So we have set it to 8. We have 8 triggers per bar. And so whenever we trigger the note, we'll hear the same note. But if we, let's say, only do 4, we'll only hear the same note every 2 bars. And so you can use this to make really nice polyrhythmic things. So let's say we do 6. Simpler. Let's just use 4 triggers and let's set it to 4. What I really like now is if we put another sequence into the B input. And for this we'll use the Arturia sequence. And so now the B oscillator will have a different pitch sequence. Let's make the sequence shorter and let's set the last step to 8. So now we only repeat this and let's make it just this sequence. So if we would only have the second pitch sequence, it would sound like this. Kind of very clean. If you only had the top one, it would sound like this. But together, they kind of make this new atonal chords. Now I can play with the chorus and fine knobs to kind of offset the 2 sequences from each other. And one thing that's specific to the Arturia that I like is you can chain different patterns. So now we have, like on the 4th, we have this pattern. We can copy this 4th pattern and paste it, same to the 8th. Now we can change it slightly. So let's say we add a note here that is high and play this. And now we can chain them. So we can say we want the 4th pattern 3 times and once the 8th. One thing we might want to add here is a little bit of delay. So let's use the beautiful Mimeophone stereo delay here. Let's clock it. I'll do a little plug here for the knob recorders. I just love them. So let's put one knob recorder into the delay here, the decay time, and let's put one into the cutoff. this was the patch. Check out my other videos below the like button and see you all soon.